make things go right, but I had other plans in mind, like why? Silly I, foolish I, lived a lie, broke the tie that kept me together. Can't take back. Happen now, I got to move it on. Keep going, let it go, can't let it show, 'cause I keep going now. I need to know if this is his love. Keep going, let it go, can't let it show, 'cause I keep going now. I need to know if this is his love. Fell in the trap that took me to a place I've never been, and filled every void with guilty. And again within, I was caught in my own fantasy. Reality did it for me. Disbelief, it took me now. Silly I, foolish I, lived a lie, broke the tie that kept me together.
I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when the sent to the illness, so I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when the sent to the illness, I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, managing millions. So I'm feeling different, managing millions. I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when the sent to the illness, so I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when the sent to the illness, I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, managing millions, managing millions, managing millions. So I'm feeling different, managing millions. I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when the sent to the illness, so I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when the sent to the illness, I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, managing millions, managing millions, managing millions. So I'm feeling different, managing millions. I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when the sent to the illness, so I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when the sent to the illness, I'm feeling different, managing millions, that was resilient. God made it resilient, managing millions, managing millions, managing millions. millions. That was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when it's to the illness, so I'm feeling different. Managing millions. That was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when it's to the illness, I'm feeling different. Managing millions. That was resilient. God made it resilient. Managing millions. Managing millions. Managing millions. So I'm feeling different. Managing millions. I'm feeling different. Managing millions. That was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God with me when the sense of the illness, so I'm feeling different. Managing millions. That was resilient. God made it resilient, feeling like Joseph. I got way more than I posted. God made it resilient. Managing millions. Managing millions. Managing millions. So I'm feeling different. Managing millions.
See, for some of y'all that don't know, in this moment, Lazarus had died. They had came to get Jesus to go heal Lazarus. Well, Jesus, because he ain't bound by time, nor is his authority bound by time, nor does he do things according to time, he took his time. Why? Because there's purpose on my route. There's things I do, and I'm not rushing because you run out of time. Because my power ain't bound by time. It's not confined by time. It's not limited by time. My power exists outside of it. Matter of fact, my power formed the time. Oh, this is so good. Y'all doing so much better than I thought y'all would stage. I thought y'all could maybe be like, he is crazy. If he say time one more time. So Jesus tells them, like, don't worry. He needed to die. He needed to die because God planned a Kairos moment before he died. God planned a Kairos event. What is that? It's a time when God has decided to interfere with Earth's affairs. And so God has already planned that Lazarus was going to die. So that the glory
Ministries family and friends, welcome to this Thursday morning Deeper Dive live. We are live in the production house studio with the live audience in all of Tampa Bay. Make some noise. We welcome you to the virtual building. Let us know that you're there. Drop something in the chat. Say good morning to those who are watching this with you. We appreciate being able to get together at this time. The Deeper Dive gives us an opportunity to attend to the things that God has said to us, because we've determined to be people who are most blessed indeed. I wish you could show your most blessed in the chat, right? Like how you can show.
Put waves in the chat.
Put some waves in the chat.
The waves is the most blessed emoji of the year.
There we go.
Like if you're not most blessed if you ain't got no waves. I almost wore my wave shirt today.
Yeah,
you're right, but that is the official
wave
most blessed
wave.
symbol.
That's how we gonna end the year. Wave after wave. We're most blessed. Pastor Brian is in the building with us. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We're glad about it. We're here to take a deeper dive into Sunday's message. And first, I got to start off by saying, Pastor Brian, if I was unfamiliar with the gospel message, if I was new to Christ and all of this, and my first presentation of the gospel was watching you, I would walk away like, man, one thing I know is God makes you happy. Like God is that good that
Yeah.
this type of joy comes from God.
Yeah.
So I mean, the way that you present the message and do what you do is like, oh, this is good news. This is
Yeah.
good news. Anybody would walk away like, man, this is good news. I heard
That
good news
is,
today.
that is, when people were to talk about, okay, what is the thing I'm most grateful for that God has done in my life, my response always tell them like real joy.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, there was moments I've experienced where I questioned whether or not I would ever have authentic joy again.
Mhm.
And so like that is my testimony, like that, like, man, like I didn't feel as though if I felt like after certain things my happiness would always have confinement. Like it would like nah, like it can only get so good.
Mhm.
It will only get so great because of just things that I couldn't change or things that would always forever impact this moment. I know I'm sounding so abstract, but many people already know the stories. But if I were to detail, like that was literally the thought when my dad passed away. Like Thanksgiving is only going to get so good.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's only going to get like like it will forever be held like below where it once was. And so like, and of course the first few were like that.
Yeah.
Right. And then I just remember like, walking into Thanksgiving and like being all like really happy, like having real joy and like, man, I didn't know this moment was like going to ever be achievable again. And so that is my number one testimony. Is that like, man, God brought joy back, and like it's real. And so like that is almost or really the conviction that is coming through every message is the fact that like, man, regardless of whatever you are facing or whatever happened, like you can experience real joy again. I'm experiencing real joy. And so it's like that is what it is, right? And that is my actual number one testimony.
Boom. That's
Right.
nice. While you're talking about that, you used the word the word moment, and there's the picture you painted was like God came into your moment and restored joy. You said God brought joy back,
Right.
and I think that lines up well with the message that was taught on Sunday. Just continuing to give us the idea that God isn't limited.
Right.
God isn't limited by your experience. God isn't limited by your resources. God isn't limited by your network, your family connection, your education.
Right.
Nor is he limited by time.
Yeah. And I would say like with that, right, which is dope, right? It's so funny. Like I have like my little notes and it's like within 30 seconds we're going in the opposite direction. But that's cool, right?
Here we go.
But it's like because I think this is so important, right?
This is what happens once you get into the conversation. It's like
so
yeah,
right, because we were talking about time and we're talking about Kairos, and really one of the things that's important that we were trying to say is like, yes, it happened on time for us, but in time for God, which is different.
Right.
So it's like it was on time, but God's not responding to time.
Right.
And so it's like, well, what are you saying happened? Like what happened? And the reason why I think that's a great example is because it's like just the way my mind thinks, I can unpack for you what made that moment occur. So it's like I was living in moments where it was like, man, I just felt like this state of living is like what it's gonna be. And to be honest with you, one of the things I said now, don't ever let Satan teach you how to live comfortable with disappointment.
Yeah.
That came out of that moment.
Got it.
Because I was trying to figure out how to embrace like this. And it's be like, well, no, it's like, Brian, it's so like, it's just as crazy as it sounds, but I feel like a lot of people can relate to it. Is like, all right, I'm not going to ignore the fact that like what happened, but I'm just going to like embrace it in context. Like I'm gonna be like, okay, I can enjoy this moment, but it's only gonna be so good.
Got it.
And
Right.
as long as I accepted that, it was like I was even okay with the moment because I was like, you know, and then even partially felt like it would be dishonorable for it to, you to even say it got better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I got you.
your
Right.
mind is crazy.
I
So
couldn't be that.
like my mind was literally like, yo, man, that's almost disrespectful to act like this is as good as what it was.
Right.
Like your dad's not here. So
Yeah.
no, it could only get so good. And so it was like I was trying to move into being comfortable with like it only being so good. It's almost like making a C on a test an A now. Like this is my good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'll never get an A, but for me, C is good enough. And so I was trying to be like, yo, this is great, C. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll take this C and I'll treat it with respect because I'm never getting an A. Like I can't get to that level. And so I was trying to get comfortable with like that disappointment. And God was like, nah, bro, like that ain't it. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Right. And then, and so then he started to like literally renew my mind. The first thing he had me do was redefine success.
Yeah.
So the problem is I was raised to think, and there's nothing wrong with this. I was raised to think that like success is like all of us being together on Thanksgiving. Well, as long as I was maintaining that image, then I was the one who's keeping a lid on the joy because I was unwilling to change an image of success.
Right.
Here's the problem was I can't make that image come no more. Like I can't, right? Like that image is no longer achievable.
Right.
Right. And so, but I had that. So God was like, you're gonna have to redefine what success looks like. And I was like, okay. And he was like, because right now, the reason why you can't embrace this moment is because you're fighting against what you have defined as success.
Right.
And so I had to renew my mind to success. Right. I had to be like, no, like this is the new us, you know, like, and this is what we look like.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with us. You know, there's nothing broken about us. Like, but you got to realize I'm unpacking years of what was defined as success. Right. So it wasn't like an overnight conversation.
Boom.
Right. I still remember the first conversations. When
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because I was holding back on asking you how much time passed for this unpacking
and I'm
to
getting
happen.
I'm getting to that, right?
Yeah.
So then I still remember the first time we were talking about having family, like doing family pictures.
Yeah.
And you could feel like the tension in the room, like nobody wanted to talk about like how awkward this moment was.
Right.
And it was almost like we didn't even want to take the pictures because it was like, you know, like the king is missing.
Yeah.
And we don't want to accept this new image. Like we don't want to say this is our family. And it was like, nah, we're gonna have to move forward. Like we are going to have to overcome. And so I'm saying all that to say, God renewed my mind. Me accepting how he wanted to renew my mind is what brought the moment of breakthrough in time. And so I'm trying to point the picture, right? So the time it took for my breakthrough was actually directly correlated to my accepting of a renewing of my mind. So although it happened on a date, the date could have been sooner or later based upon my acceptance of the renewing of my mind he wanted.
That's good.
That's Kairos. And that's what I'm trying to get people. People are trying to be like, man, God has this date he's going to break through. God doesn't work in time.
Right.
Like God works in purpose. What's connected to that date is the new person he's wanting you to be.
That's good.
Your acceptance of that new person can accelerate that date or delay that date. The first thing I always tell people, they come and be like, man, God told me I need to move in 6 months. I was like, first thing I need you to do is get rid of that number. Because in 6 months, in order for that to happen, God's imagining that you became who you need to be to move in 6 months.
That's right.
But whether or not you become that person depends on whether or not you accept what he's trying to redefine in you.
Yeah.
So it's like I could still literally be struggling with my joy if I didn't choose to accept a new image of success. Although God wants me to break through. God desires for me to break through. And I can think God's delaying something. God's not delaying anything. He's waiting on me. And that's what I got for Romans 12, right? That That's literally what it says, right? It says in Romans 12. Romans 12. Where's my Romans 12? I love Romans 12. Here it is. Romans 12, right? Don't copy the behaviors and the customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person.
That's
How,
good.
God, am I
Right.
becoming this new person? By changing the way you think.
Mhm.
Oh, so period right there. In order for me to be transformed into a new person, something in my thinking has to change.
Yes.
Boom.
Mhm.
This is the biggest piece. Then, after my thinking has changed, then you will learn to know God's will for you.
Mhm.
I tell people that then is like saying like, hey, once you get to Houston, you can watch the Astros.
Got it.
Like you can't watch the Astros
Mhm.
live in Tampa.
Mhm. Mhm.
Once you get to Houston, then you can watch the Astros.
Right.
Right? Until you get to Houston, you can't watch the Astros.
Right.
It's saying here that once I change my mind, then I'll know God's will for me.
That's good.
So that's letting me know
Mhm.
that in order for me to know God's will, there's a place I got to get to.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people are like, man, I don't know what God wants to do with me. No, you like
That's good.
it's not. First of all, it's not a mystery. Like God's not sitting back. Like I don't.
Right, trying to
I'm
figure it
holding
out.
it. No,
Right.
like God's like, there's a mindset it takes to see
Yeah.
who you are.
Right.
But honestly, it will happen as soon as you accept that new you.
Right.
Like it's there's no.
Mhm.
I'm not like saying, hey, 6 months. I'm just holding out. No,
God
I'm saying like
God
if you
doesn't have a calendar.
right, if you spend
not
some
looking at the
time
calendar. Mhm.
with me,
Mhm.
as you spend time with me, you'll be renewed to me, and I'll keep unveiling more about what I'm doing with your life. It can happen today. That's my point.
That's
like
it.
people are like, man, God told me I need to move in 6 months. I said, you could probably move tomorrow if you really accepted what he's trying to change in your life.
Mhm.
Like I guarantee right now, God is talking to you about something that you're refusing to change the image of. You have accepted this image, and as long as you have that image, it's like having a filter on your TV.
Yeah.
Right, like I love my dad. He's give the example. Right, he was like, it used to be color TV. If you wanted to have color, you had to put the filter in front of it.
Right.
And so that filter controlled what you saw.
Mhm.
Like God's will is always ready to be revealed. It's always waiting, right? But we're thinking about he just has this time. No, it's not like this time on a clock.
Right.
Like there's a filter that you can move today, or you can wait 6 months.
Mhm.
But it's not time.
Got it. Mhm.
It's a moment,
Mhm.
right? So
That's good news.
after service, I know you probably got some stuff, right? But
We
you just jump in there whenever you want to.
You do your thing.
But after service, right? After service, man, that thing just kept going. So much so I was about to teach Wednesday night Bible study, but
So wait. After service, the message.
oh man,
Just kept going.
I was preaching all the way down the hallway,
Got it.
all the way out the building,
Mhm.
because it just kept getting so good.
Okay.
But I was gonna teach Wednesday night Bible study,
Mhm.
but
Here you are today.
Holy Spirit was like, you don't need to cancel date night. So we went on date night, and then she sent me a text about how much she
Right.
appreciated date night. And I was like, man, God, you good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was,
Mhm.
but anyway, so the example I was using, because it's football season,
Yeah.
was we know that in the NFL,
I got to throw you this too. You're a pretty good storyteller.
all right,
So I knew the Tua story,
yeah,
but as I was listening to you give it, I was like waiting to hear what was happening next. Like what was going to happen next? So you did a good job selling the story, and it was so fitting into like you did that. So football, we're talking football.
we
so let's
talking
go.
football, boss. It's
Yeah.
football season if you
Yeah.
didn't know.
Mhm.
And so anyway, so in football, a good quarterback and a wide receiver, their chemistry is important.
Mhm.
And so what they say, they're doing all OTAs, right?
Mhm.
Out of season trainings,
Mhm.
so they can get their timing together, right? And so they're working on the chemistry.
Mhm.
The quarterback and the wide receiver. I just want you to realize that, like in this example, see God as your quarterback and you as the wide receiver.
Mhm.
And in your prayer time with God, y'all are coordinating
That's good.
timed actions,
Mhm.
coordinating timed actions, so that the quarterback, technically, I tell you, got to think about this, right?
Mhm.
In between the quarterback, the reason why people like tall quarterbacks, because if you ever watch the game of football at field level, you'll realize that 90% of passes, they're thrown to a spot that the quarterback can't see. Why? There's like 6'8" guys in front of them.
Right.
Right. And they're hoping that they get like a window to be able to see the receiver for a second to know that I can throw the ball. But they're not actually like when we playing out in the park, like you'd be like, oh, who open? Like they're not running around like that. Right. Because they're timed, they're coordinated because like there's people defending. Like Satan is out here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In these streets. You got enemies out here in these streets.
Trying to get your ball.
They the defense.
Right.
You the wide receiver.
Yeah.
You've been coordinating plays with God the Father. So
Yeah.
God the Father's like, I got these blessings. I'm about to throw to you that we pre-planned in practice.
Yeah.
We already know the routes. We already know the plays. Here's the thing, right? A bad quarterback will throw the ball just because the timing has come. A good quarterback understands there was something that was supposed to happen in that time for me to release the ball. Like you were supposed to break. Like I know I was supposed to do a 2-second drop back and throw it, but the only reason I was throwing it because you was all supposed to break in 2 seconds. So before you, like soon as you braked, I threw it to a spot.
Yeah.
The point is, I wasn't just throwing it to the spot because time had passed.
Right.
I was throwing to the spot because you were supposed to break on
That's
this
good.
time.
Let's go. It sounds like a dancing partner.
Right. Because
We in rhythm
because
together.
what I'm hoping is
I had to
what
bring
we're-
another analogy
I'm-
just in case people ain't following the football.
right.
It's
Because
like dancing with
what I'm
somebody.
truly waiting for as the quarterback, a good quarterback, is you're supposed to break as soon as the DB bites. Like he thinks you're going on a go route.
Once you got him on the slide.
And so he'll get a little insecure.
Right.
Look at me.
Right.
But as soon as I know he takes his eyes off you supposed to break.
Game time.
Because soon he's like,
It's
but
game
all
time.
of this is coordinated.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Yes, it's happening in time. We practice it in time. But what we practice in time was for moments to occur. A smart quarterback realizes even though the timing has come, if you haven't broken or he hasn't bit, I don't throw the ball.
Right. Right.
It's a pick.
Yeah.
I'm not just watching you. I'm waiting for moments to occur.
I'm not just reacting to
I'm not
time.
just reacting to time. I'm reacting to moments that are supposed to occur on time.
Because we planned this before time.
Because we planned this before time.
Let's go.
We predetermined what the enemy was going to do.
Right.
And so not only am I doing things in time, I'm waiting for moments to occur on time.
Yeah.
So that I can hit you en route. God, dog. God, dog. God, dog. What I'm saying is, God just ain't Hail Mary and blessings.
Right.
We think that God is Hail Marying blessings.
No blind passes.
And you have to fight for it. You have to come down for it. No, God has pre-planned and coordinated blessings to just hit you. They call it the catching box. To where I don't even have to adjust my hands. Like the wide receiver doesn't even have to look back with a good quarterback. Like we've already pre-planned this. Like I put my hands out and it's supposed to fall in the basket.
Just put your hands out.
I'm not even supposed to slow up speed.
Just put your
I'm not
hands
even supposed
out.
to break deviate.
Nah.
Like if I got a good quarterback, he hits me.
It's gonna be there. Just put your hands out.
Just God dog it.
Yes.
But what I'm saying on the other side is many people are thinking just because time has expired,
Right.
that God's just throwing the ball. And he's like, no, you didn't break. Like, I was waiting for you to break to throw the ball. You just kept running. And so now you're thinking like, God, like you said 6 months. It's been 8 months. He was like, no, I wasn't just saying time.
Right.
I was expecting you to pivot in 6 months. And you kept running straight. And you're expecting me just to Hail Mary. Well, you don't know the enemy is right on your hip. You were supposed to break in 6 months. But you stood still. And a good quarterback will just go to the next option.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for us to realize that, like, man, and I'm saying this to hopefully inspire people to realize your blessings aren't on delay.
Mm.
And God has not said no to what he said yes to. He hasn't changed his mind
Right.
about what he promised you. He's not.
Mm-hmm.
But you thought it was about time chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
But God is operating in Kairos.
Mm-hmm.
He is literally like, I used to say it like this. You can't operate a vision from God without the mind of Christ.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It takes the mind of Christ to operate a vision from God.
That's good.
What am I simply saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying like God's vision requires God's software.
Yeah.
But you can run the program as soon as the software is ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so for every new season, there's new software.
Yeah.
For every new chapter, there's new software. For every blessing, there's new software.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but you can run it as soon as you update the software.
Mm-hmm.
What in your life right now is God saying needs an update?
Mm.
Because I guarantee you, God's looking more at what you're willing to update mentally when it comes to the release than where you are in time physically.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. That's how you end up with moments where he can only be glorified because it ain't look like the right time.
Right. And
But
that's
it
why I
was
said
the right
sometimes
time.
like if you were to say what you asked me before, which point would I spend more time on?
I ain't asked you that yet.
But you told me ahead
That
of
was
time.
it. I did.
So I was already ready to answer. Y'all don't know how good Pastor Lamar is, right? Like he be asking the right questions that just be triggering my mind, like to just keep going.
Man.
And so it's like I'll be having like a whole script in my head, you know, that y'all don't know that he programmed, right?
Oh man, no, it's good. But when you talked about just how, as you're talking, I got the picture of just being in sync. It's more about being in sync with God. And then it made me think about Jesus. When we read about Jesus' movements through the gospel as he approached even the cross, how he will make mention of not time on a watch or time on a calendar, but it was almost like triggers. Like, man, that triggers
I was trying to think,
this.
man, that's great. I just thought of an incredible example
Mm-hmm.
of like, because I want people to understand like, it's almost can seem like, man, like why would God treasure being on sync so important?
Mm-hmm.
The other day I was in my backyard and I was with my chainsaw trimming trees,
Mm-hmm.
and the chains, this is crazy, the chains got unsynced.
Mm-hmm.
The crazy part was the power of the machine didn't change,
Mm-hmm.
and the ability of the machine didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
But because the chains weren't in sync,
Mm-hmm.
it was ineffective in chopping the tree.
Yeah.
I had to take it apart and put the chains in sync
Mm-hmm.
so that the power could be effective.
Mm.
Right? Like it was just gnawing. It was
That's
just
good.
like
Yep.
it was still putting
Mhm.
forth great effort. Like the machine itself still was powered, putting forth great effort. So it was just gnawing
Yeah.
until the chains were in sync.
Mm-hmm.
It had no force.
That's good.
It had no ability to bite. It's
Mhm.
almost like if you ever ridden a bicycle and your chain comes off of the wheel,
The wheels can
like
keep spinning.
you could be turning,
Right.
but if that chain isn't in the groove of the little I don't know the name of it, but of the spindle thing, like if
Mhm.
that chain comes out, if anybody's ever experienced, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Like if that chain gets even loose, or if
Mhm.
that chain has too much room, or if
Mhm.
that chain is like off the side of like the grooves, like you could be spinning
Yeah. Same
and
force.
even kind of moving,
Right.
but nowhere near as effective as you were designed.
Yeah.
And so
good.
like and I tell this to people because especially I love talking to people that know that God has like this incredible thing he's gonna do with your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you know God's doing big things with your life, then of
Mhm.
course he's gonna prioritize being synced.
Yeah.
Like
That's good.
not because he's wasting your time,
Mm-hmm.
but because of once you're synced, how far you can go
Mm-hmm.
with less effort.
Yeah.
Right? It actually takes less effort once you get in sync. I remember one times I'd be on the bicycle and I'm just spinning, but my there's too much room in my chain.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not looping with enough force.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so that's why it's like, why is God like so big on this? And this is kind of getting in God mode. Why is God so big on this time spent? And I even had to start readdressing like how we see things, because we almost as a church, and I use that very broad, and I know that's a very broad term, but I'm just saying the vast majority of people I talk to, I get what we were saying, but I always think about like what's the outcome of what we were saying, right? When we were saying things like, your prayer isn't going to cause God to move. True, but your prayer understands how he's moving.
There you go.
Which so like, oh man, you know,
it reminds me of something you said before about how you start matters.
Yeah.
If I start with a mindset of just getting to the destination, or just getting the blessing,
it's like
and I'm overlooked.
Yeah, it's like we're throwing out the baby with the bathwater, right?
Right.
Like, no, like we threw out the baby with the bathwater. We were like, we now we understand that, like, man, I can't make God do anything. But spending time with him is a good idea as a Christian, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so I'm not praying to get the thing. I'm praying for the relationship.
But I am praying so I'm on the same page, right? That I'm synced up. Like, so that, like, I mean, like, if you were like, oh, if your daughter was like, hey, hey, Dad, I'm finna drive from Atlanta to New York. I'm gonna call you when I start and call you when I get there. How would you feel as a father about the journey?
Right.
You would be like, oh man, babe, like your points of checking in are a little sparse.
That's right. We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk in the middle.
Like
let's make some.
I'm thinking a few more check-ins would just do us all better.
Yeah.
That's essentially God. Like, people like, man, I just talk to him when it start, talk to him when it end. Well, how would you even see that to your own child? You'd be like, man, I don't know about this one.
Yeah.
Like I don't know about this one. Like, let's I don't know. Like, this seem like this is a great idea.
Yeah.
And so, but that's what literally people are asking God to do the most, but have bad check-in times, right? But listen, that's a whole point. But I want to get to this
That's
point.
a good one.
But when you ask me what more I talk about, this is big. Is oftentimes God is waiting for our time to expire so his time can arrive.
Yeah.
I could spend probably the rest of the year talking about that. How much God wants us to see him as infinitely possible of all things. And our number one thing is time. Like, and as soon as we decide to like step away of that as a metric of success, it's like God has now the ability to like freely flow. But so many of us, like, we're not even willing to trust God until we reach certain moments. And so it's like, God's like, man, you're like, until it gets too late, you're not willing to even see me in it. It's like, but that's what you determine. That's not God. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
right.
Like,
we start looking for him until it seems too late.
And I would say even beyond that, right? Like, man, I'm just trying to go through my head through some examples. Like, it's almost like we don't feel like we need God in certain situations until our like timetable of capability has expired. Right? Like, man, I'm still in a good time range. Like, it's almost like I don't see people pray about their mate as fervently as they do until they pass the age the world says now you're desperate.
That's good. Yeah.
So it was like from the age of from the age of 21 to 30, you didn't pray about a mate. But as soon as you hit 50, it was like, God, I need you on my side.
Yeah.
Like, but what made you say that?
Right.
Because of the world's perception of quality that's available at that age. And so God's like, see, I had to wait for like your time to expire so that I could show you. But we could have did this when you was 21.
Right.
Like you literally did not even petition me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you did not think it was a God subject,
Mm-hmm.
or you didn't think you needed God until it had exceeded what the world determined was like the availability for it to happen. It's almost like, man, I didn't ask God to help me on these tests in college until it was like,
it's crunch time.
it's crunch time. Or like when it was like, oh man, like I'm 4 years beyond, you know, when this should have happened.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually, shoot, that's so good, God. I'm praying more about the facts I see than the faith he gave me.
That's good.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm praying against the facts,
Right.
not for the faith. So it's like, because I see these facts, I start to pray.
Yeah.
These facts about my age, where I'm at this age, what I desire at the age, facts say I should be hopeless. So I started praying.
Yep. God ain't at that frequency, is he?
He's not.
Right.
Like, you literally, I heard somebody say something that was really powerful. It's like, we pray in faith from facts. And we don't even realize that. That like what is triggering our faith is not God all the time.
That's what we
It's
see.
facts that we see. And it's like, God's trying to break you out of that. Like, you don't even realize that the only started praying when the facts weren't in your favor. You didn't start praying because you felt as though God wanted to do something. You started literally praying because the facts had turned against your favor. Like, man, with this credit score, I need God on my side.
Right.
Right? Like, like that's literally what triggered you.
Yeah.
And God's like, man, that's a bad way to start a relationship. Like, guys, I don't even want to foster a relationship with you that's founded on that.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people are like. You are literally asking God to support a relationship. He doesn't even want to walk with you.
That's
right.
I mean, there are many parts of this conversation that can be captured, but that one right there needs to be highlighted. Like, that's a bad way to start this relationship. That's not the frequency that I even want to deal with you on. Right?
Exactly.
I can't. That's good.
Like, the only time you talk to me is when the facts are no longer in your favor.
And I think, you know, so you use the analogy of a parent. I think parents can relate to that, right? When your child brings something to you from a perspective and you're like, I ain't even got to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you about that. What I have planned for you is so big it'll make that irrelevant. If we do this together, you'll see what I see. But if I start right where you are, we'll miss the bigger picture. Which
what Pastor Mara is saying is so biblical, right? Because God just talks about how our relationship with him mirrors that of a good father. Right. And I'm saying that to say, as a good father, you're a good father. There's not one thing I say to Amber that I'm not filtering through the lens of her future.
That's right. Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm literally thinking about, before I even respond, how this is going to impact you a decade from now.
Yeah.
So if that is what I do as an earthly father,
right,
what is God doing as a heavenly father? Like, and there's certain things, it's like, you got to realize that God's filtering what he's saying through the lens of where you're going to be a decade from now. And as an earthly father, it means that, man, like, I'm just thinking about how that filters certain things I say to Amber. You know, she was dealing with some situations at school, and like, I know what I would say if I was thinking about what she should do today. But because I'm filtering it through what would be good for her a decade from now, it's like I even reroute the response. Like, I'm like, well, Amber, there's some people that, so she was just talking about a situation individually in her school about some classmates that, you know, just, I'm just say it like, well, just don't seem to like her, right? And the thought is like, man, as your father, I'm finna go out there and run shop, right? Like, let's go run shop. Let's throw these hands. Like, you know what I'm saying? But as a good father, the response was, Amber, you got to realize, in this world, there are going to be people who are not always going to be on your side, but you don't have to change who you are. Like, you can walk in who you are and stand strong who you are independently of those who are willing to clap for you, right? Like what am I doing? I'm literally trying to transform her mind. for what her good for the future. And I'm saying that's how God speaks to us. And sometimes when we don't realize that, we'll be looking at like a thing in front of us, and like, why aren't you addressing this thing?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like God's like, man, like for me to address this thing, I would have to ignore your future,
Right. Or even ignore who I am, what
yeah,
I'm
but we
capable
got bigger
of.
things to get to.
Right.
I'm an end right there, right?
We got
Like
bigger
I feel
things to
like
get to.
like that's my heart is like, Amber, we got bigger places to get to. For us to be stuck in these trivial moments. Like we got bigger places to get to. And it's like, I just want that to be the
God is saying we got bigger places.
we got bigger places to get to. Like, don't let the facts shake you.
If you saw you like I saw you,
Right,
this
I
wouldn't even be a
I
problem.
see the facts. Don't let them change your prayer life. We got bigger things to get to.
I see the facts. Don't let them change your prayer life.
We got bigger things to get to. We got.
I see the facts, but don't let it change your prayer
We
life.
got bigger
Touch
things
that.
to talk about.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We got $1 million conversations to have.
that's right.
You know, and you over here talking about the price of gas. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up, bro?
Say it again. Don't let the facts change your prayer life.
Woo!
It's a good time.
Man, I need my clock back.
Wow, that was good. It's good. It's good. It's a good Thursday. It's gonna be good all day.
Yeah.
As you go through this good day, go through it knowing that we love you, God loves you. The weekend is coming. Keep attending and keep being most blessed. We'll see you soon.